Okay, hey folks, you made it to the end. You made it to the end. Now, remember, this is for 2 weeks, so you may be at this early. It's okay. This is a 2 week module because there was a lot of material for you to dive into. Okay, so what did you learn in this module? This module, you learned a little bit about the importance of the fashion industry. The fashion industry is an important driver of our economic system. When in fashion, that includes manufacturing and retail. And as many of you have seen, what has happened during the pandemic is the impact that retail has on our overall economy. So we learned about that. You got a little tiny bit of textile history to start. You'll get more textile history as we get to each one of the fibers. So when we get to cotton, we'll talk a lot about the history of cotton, silk. There's some great stories on the history of silk. So you got a little bit of textile history. We'll get more as we move forward. Okay. You learned about some natural fibers. You got a little laundry. You got a laundry list, not a little. You got a laundry list of natural fibers and a basic introduction to them. And again, the first half, actually probably like the first third, 2/3 of the book, covers natural fibers. So we will dig into uh, each one of those natural fibers in much more depth. Some of the luxury fibers, some of the animal hair fibers, we won't spend a whole week on. I kind of clumped them together, but we'll be talking about those other natural fibers in depth. And then we moved on to some synthetic, manufactured, artificial fibers, which we know I have one on today. I got a poly, I got a polyester on today. So we learned about those. All right. Then we moved into some of the raw materials of fashion. Right. We got the raw materials of fashion. So we broke down. We went into the smaller parts, of fashion. So we talked about yarns and weaves and knits. You have a very extensive fiber properties chart. So we'll be talking about those properties. Sometimes I'll call them characteristics. I use that word interchangeably throughout the lecture. Fiber properties characteristics. You have that extensive chart that we will be using with every fiber going forward. So it's in the lecture, but I also provide it as a PDF for you to download on your computer. Okay. And then we talked about fabric weights and all of the methods that are used to measure different types of fabric. So you have another chart in there, and you have a great chart in your swatch book. The swatch book has a great chart in there too. I want to say it's on page 27. Let me check since I have the book right here. I don't want to give you the wrong page, but I'm 99% sure it's page 27, and it's listed on the page that we were on. It's not on page 27. I just got to page 27. Oh God, it's not on page 27. It's on page. I can't find it. 21. Okay, it's on page 21. So in your book, it's this page. Okay, so I gave you a different chart, but that has all the information that you need, and we'll be referring to those different types of weights as we move on. And then you got a whole bunch of terms. You have a whole bunch of terms. This class, textiles, is very term heavy. Your textbook also does a really good job. Let me grab that too. Your textbook also does a really great job of calling out the terms in each chapter. So what they tend to do is anything that you see in a blue box. So for instance, this blue box is full of, oops, it's backwards. This blue box is full, I can't get, there we go. This blue box is full of terms. And then again, in the back of your textbook, there literally is like a dictionary, an appendix of all of the terms. I actually have a separate book that's just a fashion terminology dictionary. It's probably a good investment for you as well as a fashion student. But a lot of terms. This is a term heavy technical class. So every lecture you'll get a bunch of terms that you need to know, and I'll be referring back to terms that you've already learned, especially when we talk about the qualities in the fiber property, the properties and the characteristics in the fiber properties chart. We'll talk a lot about durability and weight and hand and luster throughout this class. So you will you will need to know those terms. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, moving forward to next week. So next week we're going to talk about color, and this is actually a fun chapter because there's some little, fun demonstrations that I do on color. But we talk about color. So I spend a lot of time talking about color theory. It's really important for you to know as a expert, right? Because that's what the textiles does. It gets you on the road to be an expert. We'll talk about dyeing, different types of dyeing and printing textiles. We'll understand the difference between the different types of dyes and what they're used for, and we'll talk about some of the stages of dyeing, and then we'll talk about some of the environmental factors that happen with the dyeing of fabrics. Okay. All right, so that's where we are. This was, like I said, this was a 2-week module. Depending on where you are and how much stuff you plow through, you either got it all done at the beginning, or you did it in bite-sized chunks, or you waited till the last minute. Hopefully you didn't. Wait till the last minute to get it done. But if you are here, you have completed all the assignments and you've just got to the recap to review. And our next module will open it'll open on week 4. So we did cover this chapters week 2 and 3, and the next module will open on week 4. Okay, the beginning of week 4. All right. Okay. I'll see you in the cloud. Don't forget, if you want to, if you have questions, drop them in the inbox or stop by and knock on my door during visiting hours. And if those visiting hours don't work for you, you can always make an appointment. All right. See you guys.